Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Thought Leaders. I'm your host, Chris Shang. Today we have Jonathan, who is the co-founder and CMO of Trainual. Thanks so much for joining us, Jonathan.
What's happening, Chris? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, of course, man. Tell us a little bit about Trainual, what kind of customers you guys work with, what do you guys do before we dive into it.
Sure. So Trainual, you might catch from the name, is basically just training manual smashed together. And it was built for entrepreneurs and business owners and really their operations experts in the company to have a better way to organize who does what and how, right? Like that is just a perpetual problem in growing a business, is that you have roles changing all the time, people wearing tons of hats, shifting responsibilities. You have an evolving way that you work. And Trainual is a place that allows you to very easily capture the way that you work and scale it, right? So it's onboarding, it's training, it's SOPs, it's policies, kind of everything that would traditionally be inside of an employee handbook. Think of it very much as like a mix between a wiki knowledge base and a learning management system in a very accessible, approachable way for small and growing business.
Got it. And are you guys targeting mostly like enterprise, or is it mid-market, or is it kind of all of the above?
No, our best clients probably have between 10 and 250 employees, actually.
Okay.
We've always been really passionate about small business, moving, a little bit into the mid-market, but we were never chasing enterprise. Maybe that comes later, but right now it's not a target of ours. It's more about the SMB space.
Very cool. Um, I'm curious as to how you guys ended up starting the business in the first place. But before we get there, I want to talk about your previous background and just how you got into entrepreneurship in the very beginning. You have a very interesting work background, done a lot of different types of things, spent a lot of time in content and production. But tell us a little bit about that previous chapter, what that looked like. What were you really like passionate about? And how did that ultimately lead into what you guys are building now?
Yeah, the chapter book of my life definitely makes no sense as far as the product and the role that I'm in right now, and being in B2B SaaS and whatever. But here we are. Life unfolds in interesting, fun, unexpected ways. So the entrepreneurship journey though started just as a kid, like many entrepreneurs would say, right? With the landscaping or the car washing or the lemonade stands. Like I was always doing that with my brother. My brother Chris is our founder as well, co-founder. He's CEO in the company, and he's 3.5 years older than me. And we had just always had these little kid ventures together. And then that materialized in high school. I was actually late middle school. He was in high school, and starting a like event media company that was filming local town cheerleading events and figure skating and dance and all those kind of youth sporting things. So it was called Event Video Company. And so for a decade, working with Chris to grow this production company, we ended up scaling that to 3 offices nationwide, having a team of hundreds of contractors that were going to all these different events. US Figure Skating ended up being one of our biggest clients, and we'd do all their different competitions around the country, and we'd film the content and produce the videos for the parents and the competitors and the coaches, et cetera. They'd buy them. And so through that journey of building that production business, we really built that muscle of standardization, of systemization, of the way that we need to onboard and train new production managers, new camera operators, and make sure that if we had 5 events happening in 5 different states on the same day around the country, that like we couldn't be at all of them, that every single one of them looked, felt, operated the same way, right? So that was just passionate. Is a passion of ours from the beginning, of really being able to standardize the look and feel of our brand and how it operated, and make sure that the consistency was there, the quality was there. So that was that. That's where we really like built our chops of SOPs and training and everything.
Yep.
Not to say it's like a massive thing that I care about. Like Chris was definitely more of the operations and efficiency management kind of guy, and I was more in the like marketing and media and the creativity. And so actually in like 2012, when these things started getting very popular, we saw the writing on the wall that people were just recording from the stands, and ended up being able to exit that business. And that's when Chris started a consulting company that was purely focused on operations and efficiency and all of that. And I started an adventure media agency and started creating films and doing a lot of branded content and leaning into outdoor storytelling, and was really fortunate to spend 5 or 6 years just being kind of paid to travel the world and climb mountains and do fun travel content for brands like Justin's Nut Butter and Cliff Bar and Old Spice. And I was having a great time, but it was certainly a lifestyle business. It was not the most scalable from a revenue standpoint.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Which makes
And-
sense. I think any service business, you start realizing that whether it's an agency or some other kind of offering. How did then the idea for Trainual start? I guess like obviously you went through that pain point kind of building up these businesses. And then your brother also similarly was maybe a little bit more on the meticulous side, figuring
Yep.
out the business model and things of that nature. But like how did you guys end up realizing, or when was that epiphany moment to be like, you know what, we need to turn this into a software play?
Mhm.
Or was it the organic evolution from what he was doing on the consultancy side? Because I've seen that happen quite a few times too, where it's like, we're doing great, but again, this is not scalable. We need to digitize or automate this process somehow, shape, or form, and that ends up spurning a
Yeah.
software business.
Yeah, it was very much the latter.
Okay.
In that actually Trainual was born as a beta software product inside of Chris's company, Organized Chaos. And it was just some of his consulting clients that started using it. But it was built to do that basically to like it was like, hey, time is not as scalable, but how do we help people with their onboarding and the way that they train and the way that they teach people about their company and orientation. And so it was a very beta product that was built there. And then in the summer of 2017, Chris and I just happened to link back up and we were talking about this. And I was a little burnt out on the expedition side of what I had been doing. And he was a little burnt out on scaling his time on the consulting. And here was this little product that at the time he had enough monthly recurring revenue from his current clients that it was kind of almost paying for his mortgage. And he was like, well,
Mm,
that's kind of cool. And then Neil Patel, actually, somebody on his team ended up writing a blog post that was like a roundup of like top 9 onboarding tools. And somehow Trainual was mentioned, even though it wasn't being used outside of any of the, clients. And that started driving more people going to the website. And so we were just talking about it and we are like, all right, there's definitely something scalable here. And so we decided to work together to, for the first time in like 6 years to team back up and figure out how to get this off the ground as its own thing. And to be honest, I didn't expect to stay in long term. I was like, yeah, I'm going to help with your brand and your content and build the site and all the marketing funnels and everything and get it going. And then peace out, probably be on another mountain.
yeah.
But it became too fun to work together again. And there's just always been a special magic and energy that we bring together, seeing both sides of the creative picture, of the operations picture, etc. And so here we are 6.5 years later, having an amazing time. We've got a team of roughly 120 people now, and I have about 10,000 businesses on the platform. We've gone through Series B funding, and we've done all sorts of incredible creative campaigns. And it's funny, I was just doing an interview with a new potential, like a prospect for our sales team, new AE, right before this. And her last question was like, why are you at Trainual still? Like, what keeps you there? I was like, I live my life by I will only do what is like I really think is fun. And I'm just having a ton of fun. That's what this is about for me, as much as it is about the impact of what we can do for entrepreneurship, because it's a real problem all of us face is how do we get out of our own way and not be the bottleneck in our business. And if I can have boatloads of fun checking off my own bucket list through the creative marketing that we can do to actually, penetrate the mind share of the audience that needs this product, it's a win-win-win across the board for me.
Absolutely. I'm fascinated when like, have you ever thought about like what that deep rooted fun is for you? Because I feel like as somebody who's creative, who seems to be like an adventure seeker, but finding a home within this kind of an environment. Obviously, a startup is always high pace. I think even up until you get into like the hundred of millions in ARR kind of deal. And so, um, obviously there's that, and there's always like the things that are changing. But I also think that, from a creative standpoint, tell me what it is, because I have my own hypothesis around why you might think it's fun, but I'm curious as to what you like kind of drawn into, like what's really exciting for you every day about what it is you get to do within the organization.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I'm meeting with our product teams, our people teams, like the whole leadership team, strategic planning, board, etc. Like I'm doing all that, and that's part of running the business, right? The direct oversight for me is all of sales partnerships and marketing. And so the thing that really lights me up is it's the creative direction of how we build our brand reputation and how that drives bottom line revenue. And that's always how I've seen my role in that, like, it's reputation and revenue. And I care so much about brand and all the fun things that we do that is not like everybody else. I don't want to be just any other B2B SaaS brand. Like we have from the beginning operated more like the B2C and, you know, consumer outdoor products that I kind of came from, of telling those stories, those really human, authentic, just incredible stories that are not just a graphic. And um and so I love everything that we can do from an experiential marketing standpoint, from creative direction, from how I can connect the dots of random influencers and cool stories and events that we can go to. So to me, that's fun is creative fulfillment, and fun is allowing the people around me that we've built up on this team to, you know, operate at the same capacity, right? One of our core values is make ideas happen, and that comes out of um, my dad growing up. He used to say, "Do it now, do it now, do it now." That was like something he drove very deeply into us. We're like the screensaver of my Windows 95 compact computer had like a scrolling "Do it now." And so that just created this like obsessive need to act now. And so that's where this value of make ideas happen, or I talk to my team about execute at the speed of ideas. And just being in an environment where we've been fortunate to you know, be very meticulous about who we hire and build up around us a team that operates at that same caliber. It's just infectious. The energy is incredible. And we all have an appetite for aggressive goals, moving
Mhm.
fast, taking risks, doing fun, unexpected things. And that's what, you know, at the end of the day, fun for me is like, what new thing am I doing today? Not the
Yeah,
routine, right?
yeah, yeah.
What new ideas can we pursue?
I mean, I think it comes, so the theory was that I had is the storytelling aspect and be able to bring what is considered, I think, you know, historically consumer-led marketing and that kind of like strategy and play of like how you utilize storytelling and
Mhm.
bringing that into like a space that hasn't traditionally have that. Well, you are starting to see that in more like past couple of years trending in terms of like tech companies like buying Super Bowl ads and doing
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? Like it's, and that making it a little bit not so serious. Bringing in like Matthew McConaughey as like the guy for Salesforce. Like, I mean, that's kind of an interesting, you know, combination in terms of like how they're doing things. But yeah, I can totally see, I can see how the relationship works there. Would love to dive into a little bit more about like, you know, when you guys started Trainual to where it is today, what has been some of the maybe like the moving targets or the moving challenges that you've noticed? And you know, what do you maybe like taking up to present time, what those things are? And then we can talk about a little bit more so like what you think the impacts are for the near future.
So in the early days, the biggest challenge was how do we scale beyond our networks, right?
Mhm.
Because like at the very start, it was like, cool, we've got this book of business from Chris's consulting business. We've got some clients that I've worked with. We've got our LinkedIn networks. Like we've got our people who know people. It was like you have your word of mouth kind of circle, and that can only get you so far. And then it was like, all right, so how do we get on the radar of more of our customers? It feels like we have some good case studies and product market fit. So like the first hurdle to jump was awareness beyond who we knew. And that came first from just reaching out and getting onto a bunch of different podcasts and getting interviewed on, you know, on podcasts where we could get in front of audiences that we didn't own, that didn't know us. And that was our first kind of organic strategy. And then from there, it was building an affiliate program and starting to, you know, widen our affiliate marketing base off of the back of a little bit more of the extension of who we knew, but then who they knew, right? And then it was like June of 2018 that we started Facebook ads, and
Mm.
you know, just threw $4,000 in a month behind a funnel that we built to a webinar to see like, would this work? And that summer of really learning Facebook ads was really pivotal for the business, and it's still one of, you know, Meta is one of our biggest advertising channels to this day. But that was kind of how we cracked like an initial growth trajectory.
Got
Is we were able to leverage our background in media production,
it.
both of us being really good with a camera, knew how to tell this story and knew how to like, use video in a way that a lot of people weren't using video to advertise on social. And so we scaled really fast off of Facebook and Instagram ads. And then we started leaning into influencers, and we did stuff with some of the people from Shark, Gary V, and started being able to share that content, because we in our Facebook ads, we were building lookalike audiences off of people who liked Shark Tank and who followed Gary V and the like. And so we were using insights from, all right, these audiences that Facebook is building based on this interest graph, that's telling us that we should go work with the people that we're building interests off of. And so it's like, if we can let them be in the feed, not us, that's just going to stop the scroll of the audience. So we leaned into ambassadors and celebrity advertising early on. That was a growth moment for us. And then one of the big struggles was what was this, 2021, the whole iOS issue with Facebook.
Yeah.
So that was a point of just needing to really figure out how to get over that challenge. And one of the things that we did actually was, you can tell Facebook to only advertise to iOS, and so rather than letting it optimize, it was just a simple thing in the advanced settings. Rather than just letting it optimize against anything, it's going to automatically optimize against where it's getting more data signals. And if you just let it to go to anything, it's going to get more data off of Android and whatever else. So at the time, that was the best thing that we could do, was just get rid of doing any advertising to Android in some campaigns. So we were able to smooth that curve a little bit. What else? I'm trying to think through some of the different pivot points. I mean, we went from a real free trial where we didn't collect we collected a credit card up trial. That was like an early thing that we did in our growth. And then there was a moment in July of 2020 where we removed the credit card and just said anybody can try it. And then the hand raisers will put in their card and convert at the end. And so while conversion rate obviously went down, retention and NRR went way up, because we were building a better business. So that was one of the pivots, to build a not just prioritize get the cash and grow, but prioritize building a healthier business. And then separately, in August of last year, we actually changed our whole funnel from prioritizing a free trial to actually prioritizing a sales team. And so we went for 5.5 years with having 4 sales reps. It was kind of just, they could do inbound demos and whatever if people needed them, but it was never a core part of our funnel. And we flipped that and just said all of our paid media, everything coming from mobile, everything coming from stages, events, partnerships, etc., all of that, if it was not organic and desktop direct, then they couldn't start a trial. They just went to get a demo. And when we did that, we've now scaled our sales team up to 13 reps and are growing faster than ever by just giving people some hands-on support. And it's like so counterintuitive, because I myself prefer a free trial than to like talk to somebody. But yeah, a lot of people in our ICP, I guess, just want that hands-on kind of understanding of the product, and that's worked super.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you paused out for real quick, but you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Looks like my internet just had a little glitch. Am
No
I
worries.
back?
Yeah, you're good. I caught that to the end though, so you're good.
Okay, good. Yeah, if
Very
you
cool.
have questions, please let me know. I feel like I could ramble forever about all the different like things, but I was just trying to like
Oh,
pick
yeah,
challenge
those
along
are
the way.
great. I mean, yeah, I feel like, those are the things that I think a lot of people like to understand, is kind of, the different phases of where things work and the challenges, especially around the go-to-market front, because I know just working with other startups, like, some that have gone on to become unicorns, like over like a 7-8 year period, you have things that'll work very strongly for like 6 months to a year, stagnates out. You have to find the new channels on a constant basis. And that's the nature of your go-to-market. Until you ultimately obviously get some level of like brand equity that is so strong that it already you get the inflection point where people already know who you are, and it switches a little bit.
Yeah.
But that being said, when you're saying that, I had a couple of questions, um, which is you guys are kind of going, you guys are going a little bit against the grain of like majority of the conversations, which is from like true product led growth, it seems like, to now like building up, like doubling down on the sales team. I feel like there's like, especially in like B2B SaaS, it's been historically build out the sales team first, and that's like the core of like what they do, and then they are now scrambling for the product led growth side of things, um, just because it's becoming tighter of a market. Uh, but you guys are doing the inverse. So I'm curious as to what spurred that on. I know you kind of just glazed over that part, but I think that's like a really strong point to kind of hammer home.
So I mean, what spurred it was really like marketing is our core competency and has been our strength since the beginning. We were never sales led, we were marketing
Yeah.
led. Chris and I just have marketing minds, and so it was all about what we could do with our content and with our creativity and with the pipes that are social media, and how we could pay into it to get in front of people. And so we knew we had product market fit, and we knew we had the ability to tell creative stories. And so from the beginning, it was never that we needed somebody to be on a sales rep to sell this call or to sell this demo, right? Um, where we've kind of, switched along the way is that works really, really well when you're selling to somebody who has got 3 team members to 5 team members to 15 team members, maybe, right? Like just a very small business. It's great because they can get in, they can try it, they can use it for themselves. It's not that complicated. At that size of a business, you don't have a ton of processes. You don't have a ton of chaos in your company yet. When we started growing our market a little bit more into the 50 to 150 to 250 range, as we start reaching that upper lens of the small business market, there is just a necessity for them to talk to more people and to have a longer, buying cycle and more consideration. And it's a product where, maybe they've got an HRIS system, maybe they've got a current LMS and they're looking to switch, maybe they've got a project management system that they've like hacked in a way that they can use. They're doing their onboarding inside of that, but it's not purpose built for it. Like you get to a larger company that already has a bigger tech stack and an ecosystem of tools that they have just a deeper consideration set and more fear of change, more fear of the cost of switching, especially with something that is like standard operating procedures and all of the operational documentation of how my company works and all of my people. So just the larger the business got, the more we needed to build up a true sales motion around it was how we kind of realized that. And so still our like sub 25 funnel is very much split more on self-serve. They can talk to sales, do a group demo if they want, but it's more of the 25 to 250 range that is really leveraging, our sales team.
Yeah, I mean, to just one more quick question to get a little bit more granular. Was it seeing that you guys were getting more velocity around like moving upstream and getting to those larger types of organizations? Or was it like realizing that you're getting to those organizations, but there was a bottleneck in the sense that they were taking more time to consider, and because there wasn't a team available for them to talk to at scale, then you were seeing maybe lower conversion rates, or you're trying to optimize for those conversion rates? Or was it a mix of both?
It was a mix of both. I mean, but we definitely realized from conversations with our customer success team that there was just these kind of larger small businesses, they were needing to extend their free trials over and over to just give them enough time to like talk to the right people. And they were just in organically coming with inbound questions that we needed to field. And so we decided to just build a more streamlined process around that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. I mean, that's like the best way to realize that you need to solve for it was when you hear it directly from the customers, I feel like. The other question I had was, you're rattling a lot of different hats that you guys have been wearing between you and your brother. Have you guys had this conversation where it's been, like, what is something that you never thought you would have picked up along the way as an entrepreneur, as a co-founder, that you have a strong emotional disposition towards, right? Because and especially in the early days, you're also like the lawyer, you're the accountant, you're the, delivery guy, you're whatever, right? You're whatever you need to be. But has there been anything that you've like picked up that you're like, hey, this is a skill set I never thought I would have, but I either love or I hate this? And hate could be like, yeah, you just have to shoulder that responsibility, or love is just like you've gotten deeper around a certain skill set.
Yeah, so two sides of the spectrum. The one that I've had to do that I never thought I would. I was like a really good student all through college, and the one class I ever got I think like a D, maybe, definitely a C minus, but I think a D, was business law. And yet here I was, the person that was having to draw up all the contracts for all the influencers and the content creators we'd be working with, or for the affiliates, or whatever. I'm having to review all of our like legal documents for our partnership vendors, etc. So that's definitely something that I didn't expect to be on my plate. And fortunately today it's not, but it's not for many years in the business it was. And I did not like it, but had to do it. And and then the thing that I never really would have forecasted in my life that I would like really love was paid media. And that just there was something in that that just woke up both sides of. I am a musician. I play guitar. I sing. I do a lot with creativity. But at the same time, like math and science were some of my favorite subjects in school. And so like I love both the science and the art side of things. And paid media was that thing that I didn't expect to discover. But when it came time for us to like, I mentioned we put $4,000 into that funnel in June of 2018. We did that through a vendor. We had a contractor, and I was working with this contractor and not happy with the attention that they were giving, our dollars and our campaigns. And I'm like looking at it every day and I'm like, I'm just going to learn this. And so I did. And that became the last hat that I took off in scaling our team, in like the marketing team as it stands today. Even having our VP of marketing and everything else, like when we hired our paid media specialist, that was like the last thing that I stopped doing,
Got it.
as far as, and I'm still a practitioner in a lot of ways. I dig into all the different things that we do, and don't want to be too far removed. But yeah, I loved just like literally sitting maybe even in this chair and just recording some like random fun video, or writing a song that I think is going to be ridiculous that people are going to laugh at, and then we release that, and then I can properly define the target market and the audience and see the direct signals,
Yeah.
not just from conversion standpoint, but I love the comments. I live in the comments, and that's just super fun to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think like it's a good balance for somebody who's like a creative that is able to remove ego from the equation, and you get that, I think, like a different sense of satisfaction to see that real-time response, right? But again, you have to kind of remove the ego versus like a true creative artist in that sense, or you're putting your art out there, which is very personal. And if you're
Yeah.
to like let that data dictate what that direct, you can't do that necessarily, but different form, right? But I think I've talked to a lot of like creatives that ended up either in entrepreneurship or into the marketing roles, and that's been one of the recurring themes in terms of like what they end up enjoying from that. Last question here as we round up on time would just be more so around, what do you see for the future with you as well as with the company itself? You guys you mentioned are have your core set of business in that now like 50 to 250 headcount range. Do you think that that's ever going to move even further upstream? Potentially, is that part of the overarching vision? Also, any potential challenges you see in the near future, like with you know the new technological advancements? Does that pose anything for you guys? What's kind of just on your top of mind for concerns for the next 6 months to a year?
All right, well, there's a lot there. I would say so. Our real vision is like, in the same way that 20 years ago, not every business had a website, but today, if you have a business, you need a website, right? I think that we're going through a revolution right now of people understanding that they need systems and processes and documentation, but not every business has it. It's like, you need a CRM, and you need a payroll system, et cetera, et cetera. But like, having a business playbook, having like that training manual, that operational source of truth, is not necessarily something that everybody has. It's something that too many businesses are too reactive with. They get to a point where they just feel the pain too much that they then have to go get it, versus being educated enough upfront to invest in building it out from the start. And so that's really our vision, is that like in 5, 10, 15 years, every business knows they need a playbook. scaling your team, that Trainual is that tool, right? It's like become the Kleenex of that solution, right? So that's the vision. We're scaling faster than ever right now, and think we're in a really amazing space. It's funny. It's like we compete in probably 7 different categories, but I think that that's actually a strength. It's not an identity crisis to me. It's a superpower in that we can play in so many different places and be a little bit undefined, because that makes us a little bit more unique and a little bit more well positioned to own a sliver of the market, right? From a standpoint of technology, I think that, there's no doubt that AI is commoditizing a lot. And I think that AI will commoditize even the knowledge base, right? Which is a core component of kind of what documentation is people want to have their SOPs in a place where they can find them and they can easily get answers. But like the access to the knowledge is the stuff that is probably going to be commoditized early enough by AI, just because you're going to be able to chat with your knowledge base. You will inside Trainual, you will inside wherever else you might have stuff. That's going to happen. What really AI is not going to come for in any sort of short term is the training experience, people that actually care about orientation, the delivery of content, the accountability of people knowing what they need to know. You can't get that out of just giving somebody a chat bot inside your wiki, right? Like, so the training experience is still something we're really passionate about, and building accountability as you scale your team and consistency and all of that. There's still a structure to your company that everybody needs to understand who does what, how is it done, and how are we scaling our people? How are we taking off hats? There's a lot of change management that happens in growing business that are, we can leverage AI to make a lot better. But I think everybody's going to have a chat tool that digs into their docs or whatever very soon.
Very cool.
That's just from a standpoint of our product. I think there's a lot of things happening in the industry, though. I'll tell you, I'm not paying any attention to SEO. Still works for some companies. That's fine.
Yeah.
But for us, it's not a part of our strategy. We don't even do CPC on non-brand terms anymore. Everything we're doing is just investing in brand on social, and we're building all of our traction and all of our attention and awareness off of paid social and organic social. And then we're only bidding on our brand on Google and Bing, because social is just driving organic brand search, and we want to capture it.
Interesting. Interesting. Is there a bet where you feel like social is going to take over as the primary search tool for new generations, or is that, or why? What's the rationale there?
I think social has already taken over as a primary
Yeah.
search for the up and coming generation, in terms of Google or in terms of YouTube and TikTok, and even Instagram just rolled out. Meta's got their new AI search in there, so I think that it is going that way. Or there's ChatGPT. Like personally, I use ChatGPT for search more than I use Google for search these days. So I think that the search landscape is changing dramatically for sure. And we just want to be where the attention is. And so that's where I'm pouring my efforts into building brand in the right places that drive the right intention. And for us, that's still driving a Google search. Great. And we'll show up for it. But we're trying to play as I believe so much in creativity in the future, and brand is the future, that we're not trying to play as the commodity of, if you search for a learning management system, I want you to search for Trainual. That's what I'm focused on.
Very cool. That's great. We'll end it there, because I think that was a great tidbit of information and an interesting perspective. And I think, it makes a ton of sense for what we would probably see here in the near future.
All right.
I want to say thank you so much for taking the time, man. That was great.
Yeah, thanks for a fun conversation. This was good. I hope my internet wasn't too terrible. I saw it glitching a little bit.
It's all good. It records on the opposite end too, so it should be fine. Each comes as 2 files for us, so it should be easy.
Okay, good.